Hello and welcome back to the D&Z show. I am Dan.
As for the D, and I am Z as in for Zarek.
Yes, and
It's been a
for
while.
those of you that are tuning into this podcast, we appreciate you hanging with us through our time off.
Mental breakdown time period.
Yeah, Zarek was locked in a padded room and started eating the padding.
Not cotton candy, as he was saying.
I basically was contemplating whether this would ever happen again, but
Yeah.
Here we are.
And
he seems to be normal. If he starts screaming and violently flailing, that's just a side effect of the medicine.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, this isn't the intro bit I wanted to do. You tricked me.
I didn't even know that I was just going with it. I didn't even know we had an intro bit.
Oh, I was. Okay, here it is. 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to the D&Z podcast. The podcast where Daniel gets here and then sleeps for 3 hours.
It was actually 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I had not slept in the previous 29 hours. So I did need it, and I appreciate your compassion.
Okay, well.
Oh, and I had worked like 20 of those, or no, probably like 25 of those 29 hours.
Oh, poor you.
Yes.
You're making money.
I appreciate you thinking of me.
For those of you, what was our last one? I think if you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, hey, this is not right. Last time was episode 6, and now this is episode 8. Well, the episode 8 is on everything else except
episode
for you.
7, you mean?
Oh, okay. Shut up. It's on
I
everything.
told you he went crazy.
It's on everything except for YouTube because a problem with the video happened, and if I ever get around to it, I will try to fix it, but I'm not getting around to it. So
yeah, I was gonna say he told me today he would never put it up.
Yeah.
No. Honestly, it wasn't some of our best work.
Yeah, I'm fine if it never shows up.
Yeah, we had our first guest host or guest whatever people, Zoe and Austin. Shout out to them. So that was cool, but it was very, and we did like taste testing of weird foods. It was very abnormal, just kind of like a fun blow off podcast.
But now we're here today to hit. Oh, we should,
back and better than ever.
We should probably explain where we are. We're in our new studio. Yeah, we have enough funding where we can afford our own studio. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and we chose to put pink drapes in our new studio because we thought it'd be cool.
In a bed.
That's for the 2 hour and 45 minute naps. You know?
Oh yeah. Totally not an old bedroom in my house. It's totally a studio.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You know who?
These are soundproof walls, by the way.
Yeah. You know, DJ Khaled himself records here.
Yeah, okay, let's not go that far.
What?
DJ Khaled. First of all, I don't see the hype. But anyway,
you played yourself.
Sure. No, I personally I don't see the appeal in DJ Khaled at all. But I know a lot of people do. I'm probably in the minority there. Anyway, yes, so as Zarek let slip, this is an old bedroom in his house. So a little bit of a change of venue again, but that is okay. We will do that from time to time. Anyway,
let's get to it. A lot has happened since our last podcast.
Yes, there is a very interesting discussion.
Stupid in my opinion, but
centered around something that some people are trying to do. And
why are we beating the bush? Let's get straight to it.
Okay, Elon Musk.
Oh, what?
He's
what?
Yeah, I purposely did that. I read this really interesting article and did some interesting research on our boy Elon Musk, and I figured I would lead him into thinking what we will be talking about later, but and then kind of pull the rug out from under him. It worked perfectly.
Good.
So
good.
Yeah. So no, I do. I want to talk about Elon Musk. So
You wait.
the deal is
You know his real name?
what?
You know his real name?
I don't know. I thought that was his real name.
Elongated muskrat.
You know. Okay, you're stupid. Anyway, you're an elongated idiot. um. So yeah, he as we discussed before, his company SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy, which was the biggest rocket ever launched, most powerful. And the interesting thing, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. They wanted to, set a record, blah, blah, blah. That's awesome, whatnot. But the crazy thing about that is it actually goes like 180 degrees opposite of the space industry right now. Like Virgin actually has their own company. There's another like one or two pretty big private space companies as well. They're all competing for basically like who's going to be the next like space exploration company, whatever. And they're actually all going for like cheapest, lightest, because what they're competing mostly in right now is launching satellites for people.
Don't we have enough of those?
No, we're probably gonna get a ton more. But the thing is, it's like the lightest you possibly can go, the smallest you can go, and the cheapest you can go is the way the industry is heading as far as that goes. So he goes and builds this huge, heavy monstrosity, and people that that kind of are familiar with the space industry right now like scratch their heads like, why the heck? But apparently the reason why is he's actually, and I know you mentioned a little bit like how he wanted to, but he's this is the next step in his progression. It's going to take probably a few years, but he's trying to go step by step, baby steps. Shout out to what is that? What About Bob? Fantastic comedy. Anyway, baby steps.
What?
He is taking if anybody's ever seen What About Bob, which is an awesome comedy and you need to watch it, there's a little bit about baby steps in there. But
let's talk about Elon Musk.
He is taking baby steps towards trying to get to Mars. And the thing about getting to Mars is, best case scenario, it's going to take a few months to travel to Mars. And so you basically like the space capsule that was inside Falcon Heavy is way too small to house people all the way to Mars. So they're either going to have to build a rocket that dwarfs the Falcon Heavy, or two really large ones, probably a little bit larger than the Falcon Heavy, shoot those into space, and then shoot like two pieces basically of a shuttle into space, into orbit around the Earth, and then put them together while they're in orbit, and then
like Transformers up in the air,
basically.
Dude, that's pretty sweet.
Like that's the two options apparently they're looking at, is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger until they get something like 2 or more times larger than the Falcon Heavy, and being able to put a spacecraft into orbit and then launch from there, or do it in two pieces and assemble it in space, which is insane. So it's like it's a ways away, but he's taking the next step, kind of like I said, doing baby steps towards getting something viable to go ahead and try to send to Mars, and apparently actually wants to try to colonize Mars.
Matt Damon did it.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. So did Fred Randall on Rocket Man. Also amazing comedy. My favorite comedy ever, actually. Shout out to that. So that was I just had to get off my chest the fact that people are trying to go to Mars and they're actively planning and colonizing.
Would you?
Behind our backs. What?
Are you trying to go to Mars?
I mean, I
What's
guess
the point?
if it was an option.
But what's the point? Like,
because it'd be like, hey, dude, I went to Chicago and saw the Sears Tower. Hey, I went to India and saw the Taj Mahal. Hey, I went to Mars and saw the whatever crater. I mean, boom, one up everybody.
yeah, but I'm totally fine with where I live.
I'm fine with where I live too, but it'd be cool to see Mars. I'm not trying to like live there.
So you one up someone, but yo, I went to Mars, and
Yeah,
then
it only took me a year and a half to get there and back.
But by the time you get there, so have thousands of others, and
Yes, out of 7 billion people, I'll be like one of 1,000 people.
okay,
Pretty elite company right there, Sunshine.
okay, whatever. Go to Mars. I don't
The NBA has like a couple thousand players, I think. I don't know. I probably spoke out my butt, but I know it's at least 1,000. I think.
What does the NBA have to do with anything?
I'm saying, like, you know that being an NBA player is like extremely elite, and it's not a normal thing for an average human being around the globe to do. So going to Mars would be the same way.
Okay, sure. We're off to a great start here.
Yes, we are. So now to talk about the stuff that pretty much nobody's talking about, let's talk about the Florida shooting and gun control.
That was sarcastic. Right?
Yeah,
I was like, are you kidding me? That's all I've been
the
saying.
thing that I made you think we were leading with.
Okay. Yes. I've been inhaling this stuff, and warning.
Literally, he doesn't like drugs.
Yeah. Just take that Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty good stuff coursing through your veins.
This is. We live in America for the two people.
Really?
For the two people who maybe.
Shout out to Italy and
whatever it was.
Britain.
So yeah, if you live under a rock, there was a really tragic.
Or on Mars.
Or on Mars, there was a really tragic school shooting in Parkland,
Florida.
And this was over a week ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're just heating up.
It has started a
brush fire
gun control debate that will not go away. Usually after these, it's like maybe for a little bit, and then they're kind of
with the way the news cycle is, like even like the Vegas shooting, everything just disappears from the cycle. It's not like in I was 9 years old when it happened, but Columbine, like literally that was talked about for like months and months. But we've just gotten with so much information out there and so much social media and all kinds of other technology. The news cycles are so short, even for like crazy tragedies. But I guess they've decided that the media has always been big. The mainstream media has always been big on gun control. So they've decided to keep it in the news cycle, and so it stayed there, and it's gotten crazy. But I think like it's funny because of all of like the mass shootings in the past couple years that you could have used, like to use this for your poster boy for gun control is like it's becoming stupid. Like
it's
really
so stupid because as more information comes out, you're talking about taking away guns, but when like multiple fail safes like the FBI and local law enforcement failed, you're wanting us to give us up our guns or whatever.
Yeah, because basically the core of the debate is I should have the ability, on the gun rights side, I should have the ability to protect myself. I should have the ability to protect my family. It was written in the Second Amendment to protect myself against potentially a tyrannical government that would, exercise control that it doesn't have and try to physically oppress me. That's kind of a last resort, but I have the ability to do that. But it's also based off of, like I said, I am the best person to be able to defend myself, to be able to defend my family. Police response times take a while. Good guys with a gun stop crimes, so on and so forth. And the other side of it is
here. Let's go. So that's what the right is thinking.
Yeah. And then
right now, I'm going to speak on the left's behalf.
Okay.
Right now, this is what they're calling for. They're calling for semi-automatic AR-15s. That's their poster child for a bad gun.
They say assault weapons, but it's actually assault style because they're not actually assault weapons.
Yes. So they're calling for the AR-15s to be banned because no one needs them. According to Joe Biden, 30 rounds is way too much to protect yourself. Like he's like, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself.
Depends on what you're coming up
Yeah,
against.
so that's what they're calling for now. But in reality, they're calling for all guns, because they're calling it semi-automatic. What's that mean, Daniel?
Semi-automatic is anything that you don't have to either pump or load a new round, or
You
like
squeeze
anything
it
you can
once
shoot one
and one
after
bullet
another.
comes out, correct?
Yeah, and then you can squeeze it a second time immediately after, and another one will come out.
Yeah. So what's the difference between that and like a Glock 19, which is a pistol?
Well, they're both semi-automatic.
Yeah. So why aren't they calling for that?
I mean, eventually, I think we both believe that they would try to do that too.
Yes.
But
that's my point.
Even if it did stop there, though, because I'm gonna stop you for a second. Even if it stopped with the semi-automatic, the 30 round, the assault style rifles, whatever, blah blah blah. Here's the sheer hypocrisy. And again, liberals wouldn't have standards if they don't have double standards, or if they didn't have double standards. But so you can point out lots of hypocrisy. But here it goes. Okay, so they say, well, the second Amendment, it wasn't written for like Johnny Smith to just have guns, like if he wanted to have guns. It wasn't for like personal private people. It was for militias. And I'm like, okay, a militia is a like patched together
people,
army
yeah,
of regular people with their own guns. That's literally what it means, first of all. But even pushing that aside, you're like, okay, so it's for a militia, for a patched together military to go against like an oppressive government. And then you say, well, let's get rid of assault weapons because personal people don't need that. What kind of weapon do you think a militia is going to outfit? You're saying, well, it's just for militia. And then you're saying, well, a private person doesn't need that. Well, that's exactly what you would use. You would use a military type weapon for a ragtag military that you're putting together at the last second. So it's just the total hypocrisy. It's basically say what gets me what I want at that time, and then later say what gets me what I want, and it doesn't matter if it contradicts, because I'm allowed to do that because I'm only arguing off of emotion anyway, and I don't have any facts to back the crap up.
Okay, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a little bit. I'm gonna be playing the left and seeing what
and I'm gonna crush you.
Yeah, probably. So what you're saying is, what they were saying to the militia is, we don't need a militia, we have the military.
The wait,
Like,
the left is saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need you. You no longer need to. Like, when it was written, like, but now since we are.
Oh, and I love the whole, well, that was written about like muskets. That's because that was the technology of the day, idiots.
It's not like if they were to rewrite the Constitution and they were adding that. I'm like, okay, well, only muskets.
Yeah.
I mean, the situation has changed because
if that were true, they would have written it about swords, because that was, what was outdated at that time.
Like, and if that was a thing, like, say it was only muskets, you have people who illegally obtain, like, say, like an AR or some sort of better gun than a musket, and they come into a bank and you're like, give me your money. You can't load up your musket and be like, got him. No, it's just not a thing.
Right. Well, that's just them being stupid anyway. No, but their whole thing is they're basically just trying any way they can to undercut the Second Amendment, undercut gun rights, and to say like, oh, gun rights aren't necessary, blah, blah, blah. So like I said before, they state whatever they think is going to make their point and prove them right at the moment, and then they'll state something else later, in a different but similar argument, and then if they contradict, it's like, oh well, I'm allowed to, whatever, and they just don't address the contradiction. But so it's not really as much that they're saying that we can't have a militia. They're just saying, well, the Second Amendment, that's not written for you to have your personal guns. It's written for you to be able to put together a militia. But again, dictionary definition of a militia is private citizens coming together with their own weapons to form a makeshift military.
Okay, we're going to play a little 50-50 little game here. Whose fault is this shooting? Is it A, government, like local law enforcement and all that area? Or is it B, the NRA?
C, Nicholas Cruz.
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously. But then why are people blaming the NRA? NRA has been taking...
Well, because our culture, unfortunately, in the past several years has been built off of blame shifting. And now it's crazy, all the stuff that's coming out. I mean, first of all, and you bring up a good point, and I know what you're saying, and I'm going to slide over, transition to that in a second as far as the local law enforcement, because we would be remiss not to talk about that. But the first thing I do want to say, and I'm glad you stated it that way, is first, if we're going to heal as a culture, if we're going to get better, if we're going to prevent mass shootings, the best way to do that is let's start fostering a culture of taking personal responsibility for crap. I mean, ultimately, yes, multiple people failed. Yes, it got worse than it should have been. Yes, it possibly could have been prevented. But the thing is, if a guy goes out and he bloodies up his wife, like, yeah, maybe his friends should have seen the warning signs. Yeah, maybe the coward that was maybe like half his size didn't step in, should have stepped in and tried to fight him. Yeah, all those things, but ultimately the dude did it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's, you know, these mentally unstable kids that are feeding off of violence and getting more and more violent. And yes, people should step in and all those things. I get that. And we'll talk about that and how the system failed multiple times over the course of the past, I think, 6 years leading up to even during the day of the shooting. But at the same time, like, I don't know, our youth is like losing it. And you know, this kid was evil and this kid did something evil. And I think we need to address, hey, there's like a violent culture that we need to start dealing with. And we need to start laying the blame, not just for that, but for smaller stuff. Again, baby steps. Everything progresses. So like when the kid, you know, hauls off and punches somebody and then you start making excuses for him, or you blame, you know, this teacher or this or that or whatever else, it just grows and it snowballs and eventually it gets to this kind of crap. And so we need to start fostering personal responsibility just with all that kind of stuff and even the smaller stuff that leads up to that. But back to your point, as far as the local law enforcement, it was in the past 6 years, the sheriff's department had been contacted. The sheriff's department. Now he was like, no, that was all agencies together. But they went back and fact checked it because the sheriff said that. They fact checked it, and it actually was. The sheriff's department itself was contacted 29 times in the past 6 years because of
39.
I believe I'm 99% sure it's 29.
Oh, okay, I thought it was...
for Nicholas Cruz. And I mean, ranging from him all out assaulting, physically assaulting people on multiple occasions, to online threaten,
like on YouTube,
stating he was going to be a school shooter,
a professional school shooter.
Yes,
shooter,
and as well as just scaring people in his life so badly that they said, hey, this kid is going to shoot up something. Multiple occasions, family members begged the authorities to remove the weapons from him, which I know you get into a little bit of like personal rights, and believe me, I'm big on gun rights and all that kind of stuff. But as the evidence started mounting, as well as that specific school resource officer,
cowarding.
Yes, but I'm going to get to that in a second. But that guy actually took a lot of the reports and never passed them on to the channels he was supposed to. He actually stopped. He never filed the reports like he was supposed to, and he never filed several of those reports, which is just crazy. And but then, yes, even down to the day of the shooting, he was on campus, and they reviewed videotape footage of him kind of cowering outside one of the buildings and never going in. And I've seen reports ranging from 4 to 6 minutes, but basically the whole shooting was 6 minutes, and the reports were that he stood outside that
For
building
4
from
minutes.
4. Yeah, but I also saw at least one that said 6 as well. So I don't really know, but either way, the bulk of the shooting, he was standing outside the door, allowing it to happen and not going in with his weapon drawn, but not going in and challenging the shooter. As well as, now I think it was towards the end of the shooting, but the sheriff's, the Broward,
deputies.
was it Broward County, I think?
I don't know what it is.
But the sheriff's office, they showed up and set up a perimeter and did not go in until I think a minute or two after they got there. A police department from a neighboring jurisdiction came, and then they almost immediately went in and started clearing the building, and the sheriff's department came in after them. So, as well as not just the sheriff's department 29 times in the past 6 years, at least once, but I'm thinking more like 2 or 3 times that the FBI was actually contacted and basically took half a second, looked into it, nah, we don't want to deal with this, and then didn't do it. So that's the crazy thing. You tell me I don't need to handle it. I don't need to be able to protect myself and my family and those around me, and I don't need, they'll respond in plenty of time, and you don't need whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this is the poster boy that you're hanging up, is failure after failure after failure. Could have stopped it, didn't. Couldn't have stopped it, didn't. Could have stopped it, didn't. Could have stopped it, didn't. Happened. Could have made it less, didn't. Could have made it less, didn't. All kinds of failures over and over and over again that led to 17 people dying and other people being critically injured. And you're using this as the poster boy for, we don't need, teachers to be armed. We don't need private citizens to be armed. We don't need, assault style weapons and whatever. It's come on, people. I don't advocate gun control. Gun control is silly, gun control is stupid, and gun control infringes on my rights. But at the same time, are you such big idiots that this is the one that you had, you're not letting go of it? The Vegas shooting, you let go of that way faster than you did this. And this is the one you're deciding to sink your teeth in and hold on for dear life. But yet, this is full of problems. And I just want to say thank you to the liberals that decided to use this one as your poster boy.
But it's not working. They're still, I would still argue that they're making some grounds with such a terrible case.
They are, but there's also Trump is now trying to push through arming teachers too. So at least we're getting some.
And I'm totally for that.
And the thing is too, it really seems most of what, yes, he did briefly entertain raising the minimum age to get a rifle, but that's not, that's basically him just thinking through, hey, what can we do, blah, blah, blah. I really don't think there's any effort. Yeah, I don't think there's any teeth to that at all. And plus it doesn't make any sense, because if I can go and serve in the military at 18 and die for my country, then I should be able to have a gun here.
Yeah.
I'm
for it. As long as it cools things down.
You're for what?
Raising the age.
No, not at all. The minimum age for a rifle should remain 18 to be able to buy a rifle. Like I said, it contradicts the whole military deal. If I can go and I can join the military and I can go and fight,
you're 21, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. And guys that hunt, and they should be able to protect. If you're 18 years old and you can vote and you're considered legally an adult, you should be able to protect yourself, and you should be able to have a gun, and you should be able to hunt. You should be able to do whatever you do with that. And you go overseas and you use an M4 to defeat foreign military, whatever, terrorists, whatnot. Then yeah, you should definitely be able to have it. No, I'm not at all for that. And it's the first step too. Where does it end? Because you're well, assault rifles, what other weapons? Okay, so you raise it to 20, then where's it gonna go?
Yeah.
And then what other restrictions you're gonna put on it? But no, but the thing is,
then what about
basically the things he's really pushing right now and really serious about isn't even new stuff. It's the whole mental health, getting better with that, and closing the loopholes and all that. That's all stuff that's basically existed but has just been a systematic failure. And then background checks.
Something on that too.
Yeah.
The mental, I think everyone's saying Trump turned down this mental illness thing.
Oh yeah.
He turned down the weaker version from what came from Florida.
Right.
Yeah, so in Florida it didn't work, but he turned down the weaker version, and the left is like, look what he's doing. He's not doing anything. He's turning this down. I'm like,
And then
he
saying
turns
it's
it down 'cause
about mental health. Yeah.
like, he turned it down because it wasn't working, and it wasn't as strong as the one that didn't work. So stupid. And
Yeah.
like the whole media will all their headlines are just like the bottom line. Technically, yes, stuff like there was 18 school shootings in the month of January or to the. No, it's false. You look into it, there's 3. Because one of them was a guy committed suicide in a former school's parking lot on a Saturday.
Well, yeah, I think there were a couple suicides that they tried to throw in there, as well as accidental discharges with no injuries, and that was like 12 of them.
Yeah.
It was literally but was this actually the third or was it the second? You're probably right on it being the third, but yeah, I looked into that too. The actual stat is either 2 or 3.
I believe 3.
Yeah.
So
it's and they manipulate every bit of it as much as they can.
like, why do you want to be on the side that has to pad their numbers and change
Because
things?
like I said, it's emotional arguments.
It's
what feels good and sounds good. It's not about and there's actually a video. It's I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. It looks like Colion or Colion. It's Colion, Noir, Noir. And he's basically an NRA spokesman, but like for young, like he's my age or maybe even a couple years younger than I am. And he's actually a young black guy, and he's fantastic if you watch like all his videos.
I think I've seen like an ad.
Yeah, but he actually put one out right after the shooting, and he talked about, he's like, creating a gun-free zone. And the thing is, first of all, schools are gun-free zones. That's part of the problem with the whole issue. And the thing is, it's in the past like 16 years, it's like 90-something% of shootings, like 95 or higher, have been in gun-free zones. It's because evil, horrible pieces of scum that want to take multiple human lives know it's easier to do that where they're not going to find resistance. It's like, look, people, the template, if you will, or the example to follow is find a place where there aren't guns and you can kill a lot of people. Oh, okay, so our solution to that is make more places where there aren't guns. It's like, come on, like seriously. And what he stated in that, and I really, really, really like advocate everybody, and Zarek, you do need to watch his video that he put on this, and it was awesome. And he's like, a little sticker on the door is not going to stop people. He's like, you know what stops people?
Bullet.
Well, that's true, but he actually went down kind of a progression of it, and he's like, they do it at airports everywhere else, metal detectors. He's let's set up some metal detectors, and he's like, and that actually stops, and he's like, and if they get through the metal detectors, armed guards. He's like, at banks, and museums and whatever places
they can
where
lock down certain areas.
Right, but at places where we consider there to be valuable things in the building, we have armed guards. And he's like, what's more valuable than our children? And he said, the reason why people don't like it is because of aesthetics. It doesn't look good. Oh, well, that
neither does 17 people dead on your school.
Well, right, and the thing is, he's like, it's because we want to go with what feels good rather than what's good. And he put it eloquently, and I'm going to butcher it, but he says basically having armed guards and having metal detectors is it's basically going to shatter the fairy tale that we've created for ourselves, and we feeling safe has become more important than being safe. So if I go and there's not all these like metal detectors and everything else, well, I can feel safe, but actually being safe is having all those security measures in place. And he said, in the last line of defense is if they get through those guards, we should have teachers that we're the physical well-being, the mental well-being, the psychological well-being of our kids, we're entrusting these teachers, so why can't we give them something to be able to protect the kids rather than being, and look, my hat's off, like that gym teacher, football coach, whatever, like amazing man and should be praised as the hero that he is, But don't you think it would have been better if rather than having to use himself as a human shield and get killed literally blanketing those kids, that he could have fired back at that kid? Fired back at Cruz with a gun? Because I can tell you for sure, based off of his actions, he's the kind of guy that would have fought him had he had the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And that would have been better, because there would have been a chance. First of all, he wasn't the last one to die. There would have been a chance that he didn't have to die, and everybody after him that also died wouldn't have had to die. There's at least a shot, and why don't we want to give people a shot? And what he said too, the Colian Noir, is there is evil in the world, and that evil is going to arise. And to think that we can legislate it and say, well, don't, and, take away guns and all that, it's stupid. And we should be preparing ourselves for when that evil arises, we can deal with it, rather than trying to say, oh, we can get it to where that evil will never arise.
Impossible. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, people were saying, why should we trust teachers? They're with you for 5 days of the week.
Well, that's what he said. You trust them for every other, the physical well-being of your child, the mental well-being of your child, all of those things.
They're your children's future.
Right.
It makes no sense. We should probably move on to something else.
Speaking of violence, Chris Rock. Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to hit this in 30 seconds. Chris Rock.
No. Okay, because I did talk to my friend, and if I don't say that her, my friend, well, let's
her. I thought it was him.
Did I say her?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go with her.
Might as well.
So let's go. Since you've been talking for 6 hours,
okay.
So Chris Rock, brand new comedy special on Netflix. Thank the Lord, we've been all dying for Chris Rock's stand-up.
Chris Rock's comeback. Woo woo.
Yeah. So homie gets on there, and this is what the news was running. This was the clip I saw. Apparently, there's more context to it, but
still doesn't make it better. But go ahead.
Yeah, I really don't see how there can. He says he wants to live in a world with more equality, where he sees more white kids shot, and so he can see more their mothers in the on the news crying.
Yes, he wants more white teenagers getting killed, so he can see their moms crying
for equality purposes.
Yes,
strictly.
So rather than saying, "Hey, for equality purposes, since white teenagers shoot each other percentage-wise at a much lower rate than black teenagers shoot each other, how about we just have less overall, and so have the black guys, the black shootings and teenagers being shot come down to the level the percentages that the white kids are at. No, let's raise the white kids percentage, and let's have more teenagers dying in the streets. Let's do that just so I can have the sick satisfaction of watching white mothers weeping on tele. What the hell is wrong with that guy?
It's racism. It is straight racism.
Up. But no, racism only goes from white to black. It can't go the other way.
Yeah, shut up. It's blatant racism, and I'm ashamed of Netflix for allowing. Why would they post that?
And don't give me this BS about, oh, well, he was just basically trying to point to the fact that...
Wait. Hold up. He's a comedian, though. He is a comedian, so he can say
comedian, yeah. But I mean, they make a lot of political statements and whatever, and they actually comedians can philosophize about life pretty decently, and that's fine, whatever. But again, don't give me the BS of, oh well, he was just trying to point out that the media, it covers a lot more of the black kids getting killed than the white. First of all, at much higher percentages, they're being killed. And 90 whatever percent of black people that are killed by black people, and white people that are killed by white people. Latinos that are killed by Latinos. So it's basically, it's not from one race to another, whatever. It's basically inside the racial groups. Whatever issues arise are there. And the thing is, first of all, like I said, at a vastly higher percentage, it's happening. So obviously it's going to be covered more that way. And the thing is, even if it's still disproportionately being covered, then freaking say that. and have an intelligent discussion off of that, but not, I want more white kids murdered so I can have a sick satisfaction of watching their mothers cry on like I'm sorry, but that's not even a human statement. That's obviously you're not putting the actions behind it, and that's great, but that's the kind of stuff that would run in the head of Nicholas Cruz.
Yeah. It's awful, and that every death is tragic on either side. It's tragic, but apparently there's more context. But I will never watch that man's garbage, and I will never put enough money. I will never put money into his pocket just so I can clarify context.
But like I said, that is the context. The context was that he was trying to, but it's dude, no, it's not an excuse. I understand context can clarify and it can make things that sound bad actually, oh, well, it really wasn't that bad, but context does not help the man in this situation. It was just pure evil. It was pure wrong, and he should come out and be a man and apologize and say, you know what, I'm going to talk to somebody because I shouldn't have these kind of feelings and I shouldn't be, whatever. But no, because again, racism can only go from whites to blacks, not the other way.
So it's stupid. That was a nice 30 seconds. I ended up turning to
No, you refused to agree to the 30 second.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Because you said we had to get the whole,
okay,
both sides, whatever. Anyway, moving on. There's actually some news, obviously a little less serious, in the sports world. With we kind of been following local teams mostly, or Ohio teams. First, I'm going to lead this with the CBJ, which is what is the CBJ? Okay, so stop trying to think. Stop trying to think of something and just
cool booty jiggle.
Okay, but CBJ.
Columbus Blue Jackets.
Woohoo!
We all know this.
So they actually. Remember before I said I thought they were right around 500, whatever, but they're actually better? Well, they have dropped off like crazy, and they're actually currently, if the playoffs started today, they would not be in it. And they would actually be they wouldn't be the first team out either. They're a couple, they're not way out of it, but they're a couple down. If they make a really good run, they can get back into it, but they're going to have to kick it into overdrive pretty soon. They did, I forget who they even played, but they played somebody last night and they won, so I guess that's I think it was Chicago, actually. Anyway, Ohio State men's basketball. I know I've talked about them recently. They just had their last regular season game. It was their last conference, and then they're going to have the Big Ten Conference Tournament. And then after the conference tournaments, obviously, is the NCAA March Madness. But they actually won their last game. It was against Indiana. But, dude, it was crazy, man. They were down a point with 4 or 5 seconds to go. I think it was 5 seconds to go and no timeouts. So they had to inbound it, and the dude just ran up and okay, Ohio State's not a good 3-point shooting team. This guy was at best our third best 3-point shooter. He's not a very good 3-point shooter, but he ran up and they just, they backed off him just a little bit. And so he shot 7 feet beyond the arc, Steph Curry 3, and nailed it with a second to go for the Buckeyes to end up getting the improbable win, which was awesome because they've been kind of falling apart. They lost 2 games in a row down the stretch, and it would have been 3 out of 4 games at the end they would have lost if they had lost this one. So it was good that they were able to win the last 2 games and go into the Big Ten tournament on a decent note. Also, the Cavs' first game after the All-Star break, because the All-Star break was last weekend, and they didn't play their first game until this Thursday. And going into the break, they had those trades we talked about. They'd actually won 4 straight games, and it was and I was oh, seriously, it's gonna kind of kill their momentum. Well, it actually did, because they lost to who did they lose to?
I don't know.
It was
probably an NBA team or something.
Funny. I can't even remember who they lost to, but they lost, and it wasn't they didn't get blown out by any stretch of the imagination, but it also wasn't hey, last second shot or something like that. I mean, they lost by 8 or 10 points. But then they had a turnaround, which back-to-back games is a really low percentage, even if you're playing a worse team, where teams win, but they actually had a game again Friday against Memphis, who's not a good team, but they ended up beating them by 23 points. So that was encouraging. It was like, hey, Thursday was a hiccup. And they're actually, while we're talking, they are currently playing the Spurs. I'm not sure. I know it was like 31-30 Spurs right before we started the podcast, so I'm not sure exactly what it's at right now. But it's probably towards the end of the game. But so hopefully they'll win that one. Spurs are having some drama, which is crazy. Like, they're the drama-free team, but their star Kawhi Leonard might not be there at the end of the year.
Jimmy Butler got hurt or something.
He did. But I think it ended up because they thought maybe it would be an ACL, but it ended up just being like meniscus, which isn't good. But
sounds like a type of breakfast biscuit, like a maple biscuit.
Yeah. No, it's
meniscus,
knee issues. But anyway, yeah. So the Cavs still looking up. Hopefully they can gel even more, and then Kevin Love will come back.
Oh, I'm tired.
And they'll get it together in order to make an awesome playoff run.
Oh, okay. I know what I want to talk about.
So that is the world of sports.
We did have one request to what we should talk about on this podcast, and that is the movie Black Panther.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Remember that guy on Instagram?
Yes.
It's actually a girl. She made it really clear that she was a white female in all caps.
Wait, when did you start talking with her later?
Oh, yeah, she kept going.
Ah, see, I didn't even know that. I need to see those.
It got really weird.
Yeah.
Shout out to that white female, whoever you are. We are going to talk about Black Panther just for you. I saw it.
I did too.
My favorite Marvel movie.
I saw it like the night it came out, or the night. I mean, they say it comes out on Friday. It really comes out like late Thursday. Yeah. So I saw it on that Friday, I think.
No, it's my favorite Marvel movie.
Thursday. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but you don't really like Marvel, so
yeah. But
that's the disclaimer right there. It's like saying, I hate trucks, but that's my favorite truck.
Okay.
No, it takes a little bit of the oomph out of it.
Yeah, it does. But the story, and why I hate Marvel movies is they're superhero movies, but I feel like they're more focused on trying to get you to laugh than anything other than that. Like,
speaking of, though, this one actually had some good comedy in it.
It did, but it didn't bash you over the head.
I think
that's why I liked it.
The one of the things I liked about it is it flawlessly integrated the comedy in a natural way.
That's what I love
without turning it into a comedy, but yet using some levity to kind of even out like the action sequences and the CGI and the heavy kind of emotional moments. Like it kind of like blended it out, and I thought the actors did a good job. Like they had good chemistry, and overall it was good. It was very good. Like I definitely liked it. Like obviously it got political, like I knew it would. I mean, the title alone tells you it's gonna get political.
I knew it would, but it's not as bad as I thought you were saying.
Here's the thing. It, with the name and the way the culture's been recently, you're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be in your face, whatever, blah blah blah, and it wasn't. And I think a lot of people like sit back and like, oh whatever, but the stuff that they were trying to slip in and to subconsciously like teach people, like, white people are evil. White people are bent towards violence. White people want to destroy black people, and it's up to black people to turn the other cheek and to usher society into the new generation. And I did not read it like that. No, it really is. Yeah, because he said, well, we're not going to be like them. Well, white people at every turn have been trying to wipe out black people and to try to run them into whatever and blah blah blah. Like Michael B. Jordan's what he wanted to do in like taking over the whole world and just wipe out scads of like white civilizations and countries and everything else. He said, I want to do that because that's their mindset and that's what they do, and I'm giving them a taste of their own medicine. And the other guy, I forget the actor's name, but the actual Black Panther, he was like, no, yes, that is what they do. Yes, that is how they are programmed, but we're going to do it a different way. So yeah, that was the subtle underlying message of the whole thing, and that I didn't like. But the thing is, look, I've made my peace with it. Basically, they're no more entertaining movies. They're all like left-wing political manifestos to some extent or another.
Okay, this is how I read it. I read it that Michael B. Jordan wanted to like help out. Like he was like, why we have so many of our people out there and we're not helping them? We have the stuff to help them.
Right, but the way he was going to do it was wiping out white people to help the black brothers. Yeah, he even said he wanted to help the black brothers and sisters around the world.
I took it as help. I didn't take out.
Yes, but his rewatch it. Like seriously, because the main prescription to help them was to wipe out the white people oppressing them. That was his main prescription of how to do it.
What were the stuff like they were sending out? Was it weapons? I don't think it was weapons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was weaponized ships. Ships carrying troops, ships with weapons on them to disperse to
I didn't think
their
it was
allies.
Weapons.
Oh, very much, definitely. You really need to rewatch it.
Okay, this is not how I read it.
It was scads of military supplies and mostly based around weapons that they were sending out.
So, okay, well, I liked what I saw.
No, and from an entertainment standpoint, from the comedy action balance, from the chemistry between the actors, from even the writing standpoint, all of that. If I pull all of it away and look at like the entertainment value of it, it was fantastic and it was great and I have no complaints. It's just, but again, it's the norm. It wasn't really outside of the norm. It's just the norm for what they do now.
So when I was watching it, I obviously didn't read it like that, and I felt like they could have done more for their case, and I would have given more leeway. I think they hit the bare minimum of like what their goal was.
Right, but I think, like I said, I think you fundamentally, and I'm honestly not trying to slam you. I think it kind of passed over some of the stuff that they were actually saying and like the prescription that they were giving for.
I honestly, like, I know everyone says this. I'm like, well, you're wrong. I try not to view races.
Oh, I know.
And so
but then we just get slammed for that because it's like, well, then you're not opening your eyes to the world around you. It's like, come on, man.
The people who are here, there's multiple conversations.
Your white privilege allows you not to look at the racism. That's exactly what I get.
And by me going to this movie, like, people are embracing your culture. We are like,
no, but that's cultural appropriation. You can't do that.
It's stupid. No, that is stupid.
Don't ostracize my culture, but don't get engrossed in it either. So what can I do? Well, I don't know, but just don't.
Like, there are white people who are up the African American culture's butts, and like, well, when can I go watch this movie so I don't suck the black joy out of the theater? You probably shouldn't even walk outside because
whenever you darn well please.
Yeah, like it's a movie that directed to a certain culture, but everyone's meant to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. This is you and I need to find a time this coming week. No, we need to watch it together again. A second time. It's always best, like a movie you really like, it's best to watch it a second time because you see stuff you missed, whatever.
Yeah.
You see stuff in a different light. And we will see if you start seeing the things that I've said or if I start, oh, well, maybe I thought that and it wasn't. Like, we'll see which way
okay, I'm down.
And I'm not saying, oh, well, let's challenge, like, see who is right. I'm like honestly, like, hey, let's get a second kind of opinion, our own second opinion, and try to...
I can maybe see where that comes from, but like to me, I don't know. I would honestly have to see it again. So I'm down.
That's the thing, and I'm open to, hey, maybe I interpret it too strongly, but but I think it'd be good for us to watch it together because I think we would.
Did you go into it? I'm like, okay, I'm trying here to break down all these.
I was in the beginning. I was like, okay, I was bracing myself for it. I wasn't like wanting to break it down, but I was bracing myself for it. And like the first like 20 minutes or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is refreshing because they're not like slamming you in the face with it. But then I realized that they were like it wasn't that they were slamming you in the face with it, but as they were subtly integrating and basically just giving you a mindset. And it's the same thing they've done in the schools. It's the same thing they do in TV shows. It's just like, hey, this is just reality. White people are just horrible to black people. Like, it's just what it is. And they like we're subtly trying to reinforce that is what I don't know. It's just what it kind of but in a moment where I thought it got less subtle, but like because is the whole like basically from the beginning of time we've literally been trying to like wipe out, which is just stupid, and like trying to enslave on every corner. And like honestly, slavery's roots are basically every culture inside itself, if that makes any sense. Like slavery's roots in all the way back as far as you can go in the black community, if you will, are black people with black people. In Europe, white Europeans with white Europeans. In Asia, Asians with Asians. Like that is the roots. I'm not saying that some horrible stuff didn't happen, and I'm not saying slavery in America wasn't a terrible thing. Like, I completely agree with that statement, but don't tell me the roots. And that's what they tried to do too. Well, the roots are white people sought out black people and sought out other racial minorities and just, went all over the earth trying to. No, that's not the roots. And I don't like the rewriting of history. I guess I definitely don't appreciate.
Okay, not political. I just want to talk about the movie because I love movies and like all I do is watch movies.
Yeah, like I said, the political part removed from it, it was a fantastic movie.
Okay. So there's our opinion on the politicalness of the movie. Daniel saw way more stuff than I didn't, and we will get back to you.
Yes, we will. This week we will watch it together, and we'll get back to you with what we
take notes and everything.
Yes, and who knows? Maybe my view will mellow out, or maybe his will sharpen up. We never know.
Yeah. Okay. So, and for me, here I will explain why I didn't go in like bracing it, and I would have. But if I would have thought the weekend it came out, I would say, oh man, this is overhyped. This is crazy. Blah blah blah. And I didn't go see it, and I let it chill. And I talked to a guy from work, and he's an older guy, and he's black. And just listening to him talk about this movie, I was like, I want to make movies that make people feel like this.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy was hyped. He loved it. Yeah. And he was going to see it for a third time. And I'm like, wow, this movie is really changing people. And that's what I loved. That's why I went into it excited.
Right.
Because I'm like, for me, that's what I want to do. And so, like, it's to make movies that make people excited like that. So that's why I went in with a mellow, like, whatever. Movie-wise, it was greatly acted. I loved
the acting was
Michael B. Jordan
pretty fantastic.
Was excellent.
He was good, and he's getting all the praise, but I honestly thought, like, the real Black Panther, like, I thought that guy's acting was terrific.
I think...
And I don't even know his name, but I thought it was great.
I used to.
And don't get me wrong, Michael B. Jordan did well, but I just think, like, he's been overshadowing.
The chemistry between the sister and the actual Black Panther was excellent.
Yeah, all that, like I said, I mean, I stated that in the beginning, the chemistry between the actors was great. Like, it was really good, and I think it allowed for that seamless transition of, like, comedic moments here and there, but not ruining the action and the drama.
Here's the thought I had in my head. In all these Marvel movies, you have all this technology, but when you get to Wakanda, like, it was crazy to me that all this technology is different. Yeah. And, like there's a distinction between, like, what the technology they have.
Well, I think that's one of the things, too, that was a big seller for the movie. And I agree with, I think it was great, was, like, every Marvel movie blends together. Yeah. It's like, I loved Captain America Civil War. I thought it was a great movie, but it wasn't Captain America Civil War. It was the next Avengers. Yeah. And, like, all of them, like, yes, the technology, the characters, all of it blends together. And
it was refreshing.
They found a cash cow, and they're cashing in on it, and honestly, they're doing a pretty good job of making the movies. So I'm fine with that, but it was nice and refreshing to have something that felt completely different and that integrated different stuff. And yeah, yeah, completely different technologies, different weapons, different, all that kind of stuff.
That's why I liked it, and I haven't liked, other than Black Panther, I haven't liked a Marvel movie since
The first Avengers.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I honestly have hated every single one after that.
That's not my sentiments exactly, but I do remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Age of Ultron
I think it was pretty much the
garbage.
best though. The first Avengers.
Yeah, because no one's ever
and-
done that.
And everything like. As a single standalone movie, you could personally, I think Captain America: Civil War was great, but what took a lot of the wind out of it is it was something that had pretty much been done before.
Yeah.
Yes, they made it better, but it's still. But anyway, okay, so that is the Black Panther segment. Now we are towards the end of the show. So what time is it, Zarek?
Wait, can I not do that real quick? I have a question. You like war movies?
Yes, I love
Have you
war
seen The
movies.
Hurt Locker?
No.
Well, never mind.
I
I
need
watched
to.
it yesterday, and
Yeah.
it's the best picture winner of that year.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch it, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
I have my opinions on it.
I'll try to watch it this week.
All right.
Okay.
sorry
So
about
save
that.
that's the teaser. Okay. So it is fun facts time because I'm actually running way behind schedule for what I have to do after this.
Probably
So
because you fell asleep for 3 hours. 2
uh,
hours and 45 minutes. Shut up. 3
and
hours.
I've been awake for 29 hours and worked like 25 of those hours. Anyway, so this is the first fun fact question. Look, we do fun facts. I do them as questions. Boom. Okay. So,
He's basically running out the door.
and Zarek has gotten at least one right every single time, so keep up your streak. The Boston Marathon did not allow female runners until what year?
2007.
Wow, no. 1972.
Nuts. I thought it was going to be something crazy.
Yeah. So, there are cat breeds that basically, they specifically like breed these cats because you know how you can like breed certain traits into animals and whatever. So they purposely breed these cats to act as much like dogs as possible and have as many like dog-like traits as possible. What do they call these cats that exhibit dog-like traits?
Canine, like canine, but cat.
Cat9? Yeah. That no. Puppy cats.
My name was better.
Probably. Okay. Bluetooth technology was named after who? And you can basically get the gist of it. You don't have to actually name.
The dude's name was like Bluetooth or blue, like something along that line.
It was here on this thing, but I actually looking up and doing my research, that was actually his nickname.
Oh.
But yes, but no, I mean, I'll give it to you. His name was Bluetooth, but give me a little context before I can let you actually have it.
Like,
It's not what you would think.
What do you mean?
I mean, he wasn't like a technology innovator or something like that.
It was something that came from something else, right?
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know.
He was actually a 10th century king, King Harold. I think it was like Gossman or something, but Harold Bluetooth Gossman, like again, like Adam Pac-Man Jones, like that was. But yeah, he was a Danish king, and he united Denmark and Norway in Scandinavia. So they decided to name it, saying like, "Hey, Bluetooth unites us all together." So that's why they named it after him.
Yeah, I knew it was something weird.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I'm sorry, I can't give that one to you though. Okay. What animal is banned from Antarctica and has been banned since April of 1994?
Can you ban animals?
Yes, the scientists, because scientists are the only people that go down there, and they'll be down there for 9 months at a time sometimes. But when they go down, they are not allowed bringing this animal with them. You think of like a normal animal that somebody would, I mean, it's not a specific type of lizard or something. It's a normal animal that they might bring with them.
Snakes.
No.
I don't know.
Why would you bring a snake to Antarctica?
Why wouldn't you?
No, it's dogs.
Yes, you can. Have you seen 8 Below?
No.
Dummy.
8 Below is not a true story.
You can bring dogs to
No,
Antarctica.
you cannot. You have not been allowed to bring them since April of 1994. They do not.
Have you seen 8 Below? That was my childhood.
I don't care whether it's your
You
childhood
are
or
wrong.
not. No,
You are wrong.
I did my
Did you
research
know?
on it.
No.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I
me
looked
and
up
Jingle,
multiple sources.
Next week, me and Jingle are going to Antarctica.
Have
You
fun.
can
You're
shut
gonna
up.
die.
You are wrong.
No.
You can bring dogs to Antarctica.
No, you cannot.
Trump just passed a bill.
Shut up. Okay. Okay, you know how New York City has little islands off of it, like Long Island?
Yeah.
There is a little island called Hart Island. What is Hart Island famous for?
Someone died from a heart attack.
No, there is over 1 million unclaimed bodies buried there.
Oh my goodness.
It's thought to be the largest government-sponsored mass grave on Earth. They actually have a project that's been going since, I think, 2008, where they've been like accessing public records, trying to get information on some of these people so family members can potentially find like deceased relatives and know what happened to them or whatever. But yes, so you now have officially, for the first time, failed to get one answer right. And yes, dogs are banned from Antarctica.
That's false.
And on that, thank you, everyone.
I'd like to apologize. No, we're not. You can't just
No.
leave.
Oh, wait, are you apologize for what?
That this has been.
Nope. I know where you're going. Okay, this has been heavier and more serious than normal, but I refuse to apologize for it. It was necessary, and it was good.
Okay, I was going to get there in a second, but you started.
No, but you led with apologizing. I will not apologize.
Right. I apologize. Meet Zarek.
I will not apologize.
That this is not the usual standard for the podcast, but it was necessary, is what I was going to say.
Then don't apologize.
I am apologizing.
Should I use the real word here?
Yeah, go for it. I'll show it straight to Kelly. I'll show it to my mom. And
she said it one time. She said it to me. She's like, "Don't be a," and then she like got embarrassed that she said it. Okay, you, Zarek, are being a little pussy.
And I don't care, because all our DZers are always get on for good, quality, fun time.
And I get that, and I think it's awesome, and I love to do the humor side of it. But this one was necessary, and I think we had some good discussion. And honestly, hey, if you have feedback, let us know. We'll integrate it into the next one and discuss it.
And if you want to get on this podcast and live debate, I'm totally for that.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
If you listen to this and you were like enraged by whatever,
come on, I'll give you a hug before we sit down and tear each other up verbally. No, I'm
DM
kidding. We'll keep it civil,
account,
but we can, yeah.
And as if you live near us,
and hey, if you just want to come on the show just to chat, even if you don't want to debate, let's do it.
Oh yeah, we're taking applications.
Let's hang out. Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't need applications. Just show us your beautiful face.
But it does cost $5.
100.
100. Yeah, that's cost $100 to get on the podcast.
No.
And that,
we will welcome you with open arms and free admission.
And maybe a little donut.
Yeah. Wait, are we giving them donuts or are they bringing us donuts?
They can bring us donuts.
Okay.
Okay, well, you can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on SoundCloud. You can catch us on Google Play. You can catch us on YouTube. And
SoundCloud.
Yes, it says SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, there's 4 of them. iTunes, Google
said
Play.
All 4. Anyway, leave us a review. Download everything. Leave a comment. Subscribe.
Love us, dream about us.
Yeah.
Tell your children about us.
And
or your parents. Or your brothers and sisters. Or your friends.
Okay.
Tell the world.
Yep. So we're done now.
We love you, and as always, good night.
I love you, Brian Ream.
B-boy.
Even though he doesn't even watch this. Brian. Oh my God.